Let me ask you something. How long are you going to keep lying to yourself? How long are you going to sit in the comfort of being average, convincing yourself that it's enough, when deep down you know you're built for more? You feel it when you wake up. You hear that voice at night telling you that you're wasting time, that your potential is being buried alive under excuses. That's the war you're in, the war with average. You want to move from average to fortune. The first step isn't pretty, it isn't glamorous, it isn't Instagram worthy. Standing in the mirror and admitting the raw truth about who you are and where you're at. No filters, no excuses, no lies to make yourself feel better. Just the naked, undeniable reality of your choices and your results staring back at you every single day. The problem is, we live in a world that rewards comfort. Everywhere you look, there's an easy button, a shortcut, a way to feel good without doing the work. And because of that, you've been tricked into believing you're okay when you're not. You've been lulled into sleepwalking through life, convincing yourself that average is acceptable, when deep down you know it's killing you. Facing the truth means acknowledging that your comfort zone is actually your prison. Every time you tell yourself you'll start tomorrow, every time you say you don't have time, every time you rationalize your lack of action, you're tightening the chains around your own neck. And if you don't wake up, you'll suffocate under the weight of your own excuses. The truth is brutal because it exposes all the areas you've been avoiding. It forces you to admit that you could be further along, but you chose Netflix instead of learning. You chose sleep instead of sacrifice. You chose the path of least resistance instead of the grind. And that's not because life is unfair. It's because you chose comfort over growth again and again. Most people hate this step because it strips away the shield of blame. You can't point fingers anymore. You can't say it's your parents, your boss, the government, the economy, or bad luck. When you face the brutal truth, you realize you've been the common denominator in your story all along. That's terrifying to admit, but it's also the most liberating power you'll ever hold. Once you own the truth, you can't unsee it. You start to notice how much time you've wasted scrolling through your phone, how many opportunities you've let slip by, how many times you've chosen weakness over strength. It hits you like a punch in the gut, but that pain, that sting, that's the beginning of your transformation if you've got the guts to stay with it. See, average people lie to themselves daily just to survive emotionally. They build castles of comfort on foundations of excuses. They'd rather protect their fragile self-image than face the storm of reality. But you're not going to fortune by protecting yourself from discomfort. You get there by ripping down the walls of lies and standing bare in the storm. Facing truth also means holding yourself accountable to your potential, not your circumstances. The world doesn't care that you're tired, broke, or overwhelmed. The world doesn't lower the bar because you've had a rough childhood or a rough day. The standard is the standard. And if you want more, you've got to rise up to it. Not once, not when it's convenient. Every damn day. The hardest part of this step is killing the stories you tell yourself. You know, the ones, I'll start when I have more time, I'm too old, I'm too young, it's not the right season. Those stories are poison. They give you permission to stay average while pretending you'll rise later. The truth is, later is a myth. Later doesn't exist, only now, only this moment, only today. When you face the brutal truth, you stop waiting for permission. You stop needing validation. You stop needing someone else to believe in you before you take action, because you finally realize that no one is coming to save you. No mentor, no friend, no handout is going to pull you from average into fortune. It's you. It's always been you, and it always will be you. It's not easy to stand in front of that mirror and say, I'm not where I should be because I've been weak. But that's the exact moment you stop being weak. The second you admit the truth, you create the possibility of change. Deny it, and you stay stuck in it, and you open the door to transformation. That's the choice staring you down right now, lie or truth. The truth will burn. It'll sting worse than any insult, worse than any failure, worse than any criticism from someone else. But the difference is, this burn purifies. This burn cleanses. This burn strips away the illusion and leaves behind a foundation you can build on. Fortune doesn't rise from lies. Fortune is built on unshakable honesty with yourself. When you finally embrace the brutal truth, the noise of the world starts to fade. You stop comparing yourself to others because you know you've been in your own way. You stop blaming your circumstances because you know your choices built them. And in that silence, in that raw awareness, you hear a new voice, the voice that says, enough. It's time to rise. The truth doesn't just show you what's wrong, it shows you what's possible. It shows you that the gap between where you are and where you want to be isn't made of luck or talent. It's made of discipline, work, and sacrifice. And once you see that clearly, you can no longer hide behind ignorance. You either act or you admit you're choosing average. And when you choose truth long enough, something incredible happens. The fear that once held you back becomes fuel. The shame of wasted years becomes energy. The weight of regret becomes the very thing that propels you forward. Because now you're not hiding, you're not pretending, you're not faking, you're living in reality. And reality is the only place fortune grows. Discipline is not something you wait to feel, it's something you forge when you're exhausted, broken, and every part of your body screams stop. Average people chase motivation because it feels good, but motivation dies the second life punches them in the mouth. Discipline is the backbone that keeps you standing when everything else inside you is begging to sit down. When you wake up in the morning and that bed feels warm, discipline is the force that drags you out anyway. When you're sore and your muscles ache, discipline is the force that makes you show up again. Motivation is an emotion, but discipline is a decision. And when you live by decisions instead of emotions, nothing and no one can control your destiny but you. Most people quit not because they lack the ability, but because they've never built the habit of doing what needs to be done when they don't feel like it. That's the gap between average and fortune. Fortune doesn't care how you feel. It only responds to action. And the more you act in spite of your feelings, the more unstoppable you become. Discipline is forged in the small, unseen moments. It's not the big speech, not the highlight reel, not the applause. It's you alone in your room at midnight studying instead of scrolling. It's you choosing water over soda. It's you saying no to distractions when no one is watching. Fortune goes from those small seeds of relentless, consistent self-control. If you want to break away from average, you've got to stop negotiating with yourself. Average says, I'll do it tomorrow. Average says, I deserve a break. This discipline says, do it now, because tomorrow doesn't exist. Every time you negotiate with your weaker self, you lose ground. Every time you obey your discipline, you rise one step closer to fortune. Think about the people you admire, the ones you call successful, the ones who built fortunes and legacies. Do you think they got there by working only on the days they felt good? No. They built discipline so ironclad that their actions weren't dictated by mood, by weather, or by convenience. They moved every day, no matter what. That's why they won. An average loss to discipline is a war, not a one-time choice. You will fight it every day. Some mornings you'll lose, some nights you'll give in. But the key is never letting those losses define you. You reset, you return, you fight again. Every battle you win with yourself strengthens your armor. Every battle you lose but return from sharpens your resolve. That's how warriors are made. The beauty of discipline is that it compounds. At first it's hard, it feels like you're dragging yourself uphill with no reward. But day after day, brick after brick, those tiny victories pile up. One day you'll look back and realize you've built a wall between yourself and the person you used to be. That wall is discipline, and behind it lies your fortune. Average people see discipline as restriction, but the truth is, it's freedom from regret, freedom from weakness, freedom from the prison of excuses. When you're disciplined, you control your destiny instead of being controlled by your impulses. You trade short-term comfort for long-term greatness, and that trade is what fortune is built on. Discipline is not glamorous, it's waking up early in silence. It's saying no when everyone else says yes. It's grinding when the crowd has gone home. But that's exactly why it's powerful, because most won't do it. And the few who do separate themselves so far from the pack that fortune has no choice but to follow them. Discipline is the great divide. Stop waiting for the perfect plan. Stop waiting for motivation to hit. Just start. Do one thing today with discipline. Wake up earlier. Write that page. Do that workout. Cut that distraction. Then do it again tomorrow. And again the day after. Consistency beats intensity. It's not about doing everything at once. It's about showing up every single day, no matter what. Discipline requires sacrifice, and sacrifice hurts. You'll lose friends who don't understand. You'll lose comfort. You'll lose hours of entertainment. But what you gain is immeasurable confidence, strength, freedom, and the power to create the life you dream about. Average avoids sacrifice. Fortune is born from it. That's the line you've got to cross. When you train discipline, you train your mind to stop running from discomfort. You start to crave it because you know discomfort is where growth lives. You begin to take pride in doing what others won't. And soon the very things you once hated, waking up early, grinding late, working when tired, become your edge. They become your weapon against average. Discipline is the equalizer. You don't need to be the smartest, the strongest, the fastest, or the most talented. If you out-discipline the person next to you, you will pass them. Fortune is not about who starts with the most. It's about who refuses to quit, who refuses to slow down, who refuses to let feelings dictate their future. That's the real game. And the truth is this: discipline will not just get you to fortune, it will keep you there. Because average people can stumble into success, but without discipline, they lose it just as fast. Discipline builds empires, sustains them, and grows them. If you want to break free from the chains of average forever, you've got to chain yourself to discipline instead. Most people spend their whole lives running from pain like it's the enemy. But the truth is, pain is the only teacher that never lies to you. Pain doesn't care about your excuses. Pain doesn't care about your stories. Pain shows up to test whether you're real about your goals or just daydreaming. If you run from pain, you're running from the very thing that could build you. Pain is the filter that separates average from fortune. Everyone wants success until it hurts. Everyone talks about big dreams until they're forced to bleed for them. The moment life gets uncomfortable, average people, but fortune belongs to those who lean into pain, who choose to face it head on, who understand that the struggle is the exact path to strength. The truth is, pain exposes your weakness, and that's why most people avoid it. They don't want to see where they're soft, where they've been lazy, where they've been cutting corners, but you can't fix what you refuse to see. Pain puts a spotlight on the cracks in your foundation, and if you're brave enough to look at them, you can rebuild stronger than ever. Pain is not punishment, it's feedback. It's your body saying, push harder. It's your mind saying, adapt. It's life saying, you're in the process of becoming more. Every rep that burns your muscles, every hour of exhaustion, every moment of rejection is feedback telling you that you're stretching past your comfort zone. That's not punishment, that's growth. Most people waste their lives trying to numb pain, alcohol, distractions, fake positivity, endless comfort. But when you numb pain, you numb progress. You numb your chance to evolve. The ones who create fortune are the ones who take the pain straight on, absorb it, and use it as fuel. They learn to stop running and start asking pain the question, what are you teaching me? The lessons pain teaches you are priceless. It teaches patience when results don't come fast. It teaches grit when obstacles pile up. It teaches humility when you fail. It teaches resilience when life smashes you down. No classroom, no book, no motivational video can teach you what raw suffering will carve into your soul. Pain is the tuition fee of greatness. When you finally embrace pain, you stop seeing it as something to escape and start seeing it as a doorway. Every time you walk through that doorway, you level up. Pain in the gym's muscle, pain in business builds strategy. Pain in relationships builds depths. There is no path to fortune that doesn't go straight through the fire of pain. Here's the secret. Pain doesn't shrink with time. You get stronger with exposure. The first time you step into discomfort, it feels unbearable. But the more you face it, the more you endure, the more you adapt. What used to crush you becomes normal. What used to scare you becomes familiar. And what used to break you becomes your edge. Pain becomes your ally. The irony is, once you stop running from pain, it starts to lose its power over you. The anticipation is always worse than the reality. The story in your head